guys, my name is Trinh and today I'm here to do a book review and discussion for The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. If you don't know, this is the first book of a new series in the Shadowhunter Chronicles called The Eldest Curse. This book follows Alec Lightwood and Magnus Bane. If you don't know, they are a queer couple in the Shadowhunter Chronicles in general, but I'm really glad that they're getting their own trilogy. So yeah, this is the first book of a trilogy. I think I already said that. I don't remember. So basically, this book takes place in City of Fallen Angels. If you don't know, City of Fallen Angels is actually the fourth book of the Mortal Instruments series. You know, we're back in 2007, 2008, I want to say. And basically, Magnus and Alec just became a couple. Basically, they were dating in secret, but now that Alec is out, they are in a very serious relationship. So this is their first time going on vacation, and it takes place in Europe. You know, they're just having a fun time, and then out of nowhere, some demon attacks Magnus, and then we find out that a few decades ago, Magnus created this demon worshipping cult called the Crimson Hand. The thing is, he does not have any memories about it. So of course, when the demons attack him and when a lot of people frame him for like a bunch of murders, he's like, oh shit, I don't remember anything. So of course, we're following their journey, and basically that's it. Some trigger warnings for this book: attempted murder and violence. I usually don't mind because like I'm very used to Cassandra Clare's books, but I know that the descriptions can be very graphic and very explicit, so please be cautious when you're reading this book. I really enjoy my time reading this book. I do have a reading vlog. Also, I read this book with my parabatai Sandy from Sandy Reads a Lot. The thing that I really enjoy about this book is that we get to see a lot of characters from the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and it's just so nice to see them again because we get to see Raphael, Lily, Elliot, Aline, Helen, and then we get some new characters as well, and I really enjoy learning new characters because I do find them interesting. But at the same time, this is just the first book of a trilogy, so I do expect more from them, obviously, because you know, of that ending. Another thing that I really enjoy about this book is that we get to see Magnus and Alec's relationship in the very beginning. This is like right after Alex came out as gay to his family and then also to the Shadowhunter community. So of course, it's a big deal for him, and some people look at it like it's it's actually a really good thing because Alec is a really good role model when it comes to queer Shadowhunters. But then there are some people who don't like that because he's like breaking barriers, and some people don't like that shit. But anyway, it's just really nice to see him being very happy and open about his love for Magnus. And then also, this book takes place right before City of Lost Souls, so it kind of fucked with my feelings because I did not like Alec in the fifth book of TMI, okay? I had a lot of issues with that book in general. So overall, I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. This is not my favorite book from Cassandra Clare, and it's definitely not my favorite book from the Shadowhunter Chronicles, but I really had a great time reading this book, and I think it has to do with, you know, Sandy, and then also Malec. Like, I love Magnus and Alec so much. So if you have caught up with the Shadowhunter Chronicles, because you know, like, there's so many books, I highly recommend reading this book. Like, you might as well read it because it's really good. It's very enjoyable, and of course, Magnus and Alec are everything, so you gotta read this shit to support them. So yeah, I give this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I think that's it for my review. Like, I really enjoy it, so read this shit if you haven't already, okay? Like, it's actually very good, and I had a lot of fun reading this book. So now I am about to jump into the spoilery section. So I took notes when I was reading this book, so you know, I have some things I want to talk about. So leave if you have not read this book, okay? Leave. Goodbye. Goodbye. Leave right now so you don't get spoiled. So in the very beginning of the book, I'm gonna hold my phone because, you know, the notes. Anyway, in the beginning of the book, we see Magnus and Alec being in Paris, and oh my god, it makes me miss Paris so much because I've been there like 2 years ago, and it's been a while, obviously. So anyway, they're in Paris and they're having fun, and then just hearing Magnus, like, you know, talking to us and shit, I think he said something about how he hopes Alec won't hurt him, and that part kind of broke me because remember, this takes place before City of Lost Souls, and I'm assuming that you have read City of Lost Souls because it's best to read TMI, TID, TDA, and now this. I'm assuming you have read the 5th book of TMI, but if you don't remember what happened in that book, I will tell you. So basically, in the 5th book, Alec was trying to shorten Magnus' lifespan because Alec was like very insecure in the 5th book, and he did not like the fact that Magnus will live forever and Magnus will have like lovers and all these things. So he was like very insecure, and they broke up at the end of the 5th book. So that part kind of broke me, honestly, because like I just knew that they're gonna break up. That's the thing. I mean, like, they will get back together obviously, but like they broke up in the 5th book, and that upsets me. Tessa is in this book, okay? In the very beginning, she was in it for like a chapter. But still, Tessa's here and I love Tessa. If you don't know, Tessa Gray is my main bitch. I love her in the Infinite Devices trilogy. And when she said that she almost died, I kid you not, I was like, bitch, no. So on page 27, we have a very important information about fairy blood. They both knew fairy blood could be used to summon greater demons who had once been among the highest of angels and who had fallen so far. I don't know why I had like trouble reading this, but when I read that, I was like, holy shit, this is a big deal because we could use, well, I don't know why I said we, but some people could use fairy blood to summon greater demons. That's something that I never knew, and when I read that part, I was like, holy shit, this is actually very important. Anyway, if you don't remember, Tessa's father is a greater demon, the Eidolon demon shit, and then Macca's father is Asmodee. I don't know how to say the name, to be honest, and I said it like it's French, Asmodee, but yeah, he's a greater demon. And then of course we get, you know, to the main point of this whole thing is that Magnus created this cult like years ago, but he does not remember anything from it. And then of course the Crimson Hand worships Asmodee, and that's a huge red sign because Magnus' father is very evil, I think. I don't know, I'm not really threatened by the greater demon because I feel like we barely see him. Like we see him in this book obviously, and then we see him in City of Heavenly Fire, but other than that we never really see the greater demon. So a part of me is like, should I be threatened by this? So they're going to Venice, and honestly what I really appreciate about this book is that this takes place in Europe. It really reminds me of my trip to Europe like 3 years ago. I went to Europe like twice, but I think it was summer of 2016. Like I went there with my mom and we just had so much fun. We went to so many cities in Europe. That's like the beauty of Europe. You can go to a lot of countries in Europe like in the span of a week or so. It was just really nice to read this book and be like, holy shit, this reminds me so much of the trip that I had with my mom. So that was really fun. So we get to see Malcolm again. Malcolm Fade. I'm assuming you have read the Dark Artifices trilogy. So Malcolm can suck a dick. I don't like him. And then at this party we get to see Katerina, Malcolm, Hyacinth, Adion. Oh my god, that's the brother of Kieran, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then Raphael, Lily, and then Helen. So we get to see a lot of characters at this party, and I was pleasantly surprised when I found out that Lily and Helen were making out. I was so proud. If you don't know, Lily Chen is everything to me. Like, I really identify myself with her. I love her so much. She is a great character. It does kind of bother me that she's like a side character, but I really hope we get to see a lot of short stories or books with her in it, you know, because she's fantastic. I love her. So when I see my girl making out with Helen, I was very happy, okay? Even though it's just like a, you know, makeout session, still very happy. So in this book we learn a few more things about Magnus, and to me that's very important because even though we have the Bane Chronicles, I still feel like we're missing quite a lot when it comes to Magnus Bane because this guy is immortal. He's like 400 years old. He has lived for a really long time, and I feel like we barely touch the important part. So I really appreciate the fact that in this book we get to see some things that really affect him as a warlock, like as a person in general. So we learned that his mother committed suicide. We learned that Magnus burned his stepfather alive because his stepfather was about to drown him. So yeah, it's a good thing I did give a trigger warning in the beginning, because when I read the scene of, like, it's like later on in the book, but when I read the scene of his stepfather trying to drown Magnus Bane, I was like, holy shit, this is really graphic. So, you know, it's a good thing I put a trigger warning in the very beginning. And then of course the Silent Brothers saved Magnus. I feel like I already knew that, but I wish I know more. I think in the Bane Chronicles, because I read that book last year, I remember reading a part where it says that the Silent Brothers saved Magnus and then they help him, you know, become a warlock and stuff like that, like control his powers. And then we get that mention again in this book, and I'm like, is there more to it? Or it's just like a simple thing that, yeah, Magnus got saved by the Silent Brothers and then boom, he's a warlock, he can control his powers and such. I feel like there's so much more, but I feel like we barely get any information about Magnus' relationship with the Silent Brothers when he was very young. And then in this book, I think it's like the same section, it says that Ragnarfell had connections to a Shadowhunter family. The Fairchilds, if you don't remember in the Infinite Devices trilogy, Ragnarfell was like a pretty well-known warlock, and he did have like relations to the Fairchilds because he helped Charlotte, I believe, in the second book. And I miss him. Here's the thing, we will talk more about Ragnarfell, okay? We will, but damn, I just love like callbacks to TID. So of course in this book we get to see Aline and Helen meet for the first time. So later on we know that they're married. Aline is the daughter of the consul, and then Helen Blackthorn is the eldest child of the Blackthorn clan. So obviously this book is about a queer couple. Magnus and Alec are both queer. Alec is gay, Magnus is bisexual. And then on page 230, I love this part about sexuality. And I'm gonna read it because I just really love this part, man. It was really good, okay? Alec has spent so long with a desperate, impossible crush on Chase. He had thought it was a secret. Now he knew everyone had always known, especially Chase. Chase had never minded. He had understood Alec needed to have a crush on someone who was safe. On a boy who, if Alec said I like you to him, would not have punched Alec in the face or dragged him in front of the clave. People could be horrendously, violently awful about anyone who was different. And I really like that part because it makes me realize that, oh my god, Chase knew that Alec was gay, but he didn't say anything, and he let Alec have a crush on him, someone who was safe. And I just really appreciate that because, you know, Chase is actually a good person even though he can be an asshole sometimes. So of course, let's talk about the main villain here. Shen Yun is a warlock, you know, who helps them. But turns out, she's the bad guy. The real reason is on page 254. Okay, basically, she's like convinced that Asmodee, you know, Magnus's father, is her daddy. And I'm like, girl, if you don't get your shit together. So in this book, we learned that Magnus's father was the one who took his memory away. So there is a good reason why his memory, you know, is gone, because his father, you know, the greater demon, actually took his memory away. Because in the very beginning, I was convinced that it was Katerina, because in the Bane Chronicles, at the end of a certain short story, she actually took his memory away a little bit because he was like in love with Camille. He did not want to deal with the pain and with her, so Katerina took his memory away. So I thought that she took his memory of the Crimson Hand and stuff, but no, it was his dad. So I was wrong about my theory. So basically, Asmodee, we see him, and then he wants Magnus to serve him, and then he calls Magnus the Eldest Curse. So, you know, that is the title of this trilogy. So I have more questions, but this video is getting too fucking long, so next time. So on page 307 to 308, I think I have that mark, I'm pretty sure. This section is very important because this is before City of Lost Souls. Asmodee said this to Magnus. Basically, they're talking about Alec Lightwood and, you know, the fact that Alec is a shadow hunter, so he will die. But then Magnus is immortal. Like, yes, Magnus could die if someone kills him, but obviously he can still live forever because, you know, he's like 400 years old. He's immortal. He's a warlock. All that fun stuff. This is at the end of page 307. He will come to hate and resent you for your immortality as he withers away. And then I'm just gonna skip to like the last sentence of that paragraph. He will not be able to bear you long, being what you are. It will destroy him, or he will destroy you. When I read that, I was like, holy fucking shit, this greater demon is right. Because in City of Lost Souls, we see that. We see Alec low-key hating the fact that Magnus is immortal, and of course he was trying to take Magnus' immortality away. So yeah, by the end, Alec was kind of trying to destroy Magnus. So that upsets me. I really hate the fact that he's so right about that. So let's quickly talk about this new character, Leon Verlac. So when I saw the last name Verlac, I was like, holy shit, I think he's, you know, related to Sebastian Verlac, obviously. The real Sebastian Verlac. I was very suspicious of him because I just didn't trust him. Like the way he came about, you know, what he said and his actions and all these things, I did not trust him. And by the end, he's just a fucking creep, honestly. Oh my god, every time we see him, he's just coming on very strong when it comes to Alec. He's just like, I know that you're in this relationship with Magnus, but like, he's a warlock. Like, why don't you fucking hook up with me? He basically said that in this book. He's just weird. I don't trust him. I still don't trust him. I don't know if he's the bad guy, because at this point, is he posing as a serious threat? Because for now, I'm just like, this guy's weird. This guy's a fucking creep. So, you know, that's all I can say about him. But I just want to mention him because, like, this is weird. So at the end, everything is okay. Magnus is so fucking kind. That's something I learned about this book. I feel like Magnus is just kind in general. So he lets Shen Yun go. And that's a really big mistake in my opinion. So in the last chapter, I want to say, Magnus and Alec, you know, they kiss, they bone. I'm not gonna lie, when I read the scene of them having sex, my mind jumps to Brooklyn Nine-Nine immediately. You know, that scene of Captain Holt saying bone.
Come on, sir. The math thing isn't the problem. Night shift's keeping you and Kevin apart. You two just need a bone.
What did you say?
Don't say it again.
I said you two need a bone.
How dare you, Detective Diaz? I am your superior officer! Bone! What happens in my bedroom, Detective, is none of your business. Bone! Don't ever speak to me like that again.
So I think in the epilogue, we see Shen Yun, she has escaped. But the thing is, this fucks with me. She has Ragnar fell. Of course, at the end, as to how and why. Because how on earth did she get Magnus? No, fuck, Ragnar. Oh, my mom texted me. Okay, anyway. How on earth did she get Ragnar fell from Alicante? Because the last time we saw him was in City of Glass when he supposedly was killed by Sebastian, okay? So of course I'm like, how on earth did she get him? And then of course, why? Why did she retrieve Ragnar fell? Because at the end of the day, I'm really glad that he's alive, obviously. So if you don't know, if you haven't read Queen of Air and Darkness, you would know. But I really hope you have read the last book of TDA, because Ragnar fell being alive is a fucking big deal, because we were under the impression that he was dead for so long, since City of Glass. So now that we get to see him at the end alive, but at the same time he's being held captive, so that's not a good thing, but at the same time he's alive. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy my book review and discussion when it comes to The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye!